Here's the plan. I'm going to start doing streams, and they're going to be called Why Cisgender White Males. No, it's called Why Cisgender Caucasian Males Are the Solution. Here's the StreamYard link. And this is going to be the idea. And we're going to present the white paper while I wait for people. And this is what we're going to talk about. Bump this up to 200. Share the screen. And this is what we're going to do. So here are the links to the genesis of the idea. There's the oldest of data. There's the newest data. And then there's the middle data. Hey, why cisgender Caucasian males are the solution. Come join. There's the link on the screen. Let's have a conversation. I think that cisgender Caucasian males are the solution to the world's problems. And I think I can back it up with evidence. So, links on the screen. Join me. We'll have a conversation. Easy peasy. I don't know what the rest of that saying is. I don't know what the rest of the saying is, but I'm not going to say it because it's probably not politically correct. But come on. Why cisgender Caucasian males are the solution to the world's problems. You don't believe me? You believe me? If you believe me, come and join. We'll solve world peace right now. I have it all here. I've done all the work. I've done all the math. Here's the equation. This is Mo here. That's Mo right there. You can't see me anyway. Equals 0 plus G. In other words, the initial reference frame plus gravity. Here's the lead auditor's underbelly. I can get rid of this. That centers it. Boom. Bingo. Lead auditor's underbelly. Preface, the forensic identification of a pattern. The white paper is not the paper I wanted to write, but the paper I was able to write. Viewer, come on, join. This is your chance. Why cisgender Caucasian males are the solution to world peace. I should probably add to world peace. Or the world's problems. The solution to the world's problems. I wonder if I should have capitalized that. There's the changes. Let that come up. Boom. Why cisgender Caucasian males are the solution to the world's problems. This paper is a sympathetic paper, not an emotional paper. It is written from my prefrontal cortex. That would be the prefrontal cortex. In an ecosystem absent of stress hormones. Right now, I'm in my own house, safe, comfortable. My stress hormones are low. I did eat something, so there's a little bit of cortisol and adrenaline to digest the food, but my hormone levels are low because I'm a Caucasian cisgender white male. That's a double. Yeah, you get this. Yeah. A result of never having suffered. I've never suffered a nanosecond in my existence. Viewer, have you suffered? Come up. We'll have a conversation. Having never suffered, being a super safe, privileged Caucasian cisgender male without emotional attachments to my personal stories, memories, or identities. I don't have any attachments. I'm not personally attached to any of my stories. I don't believe one of them. They're memories. And I proved why memories are not reliable. It is a paper born from inner peace I claim to be experiencing and an utter selfish goal of comfort and health, achieved by facilitating safety in my fellow human beings that I interact with in my everyday experience of life. Viewer, come on up. Let's have a conversation. Actual goals versus claimed goals. World peace is my goal, as is evidenced by creating this paper and searching for human auditors versus the claims and talk spoken by the vast majority of my other fellow human beings. World peace being the most entropy efficient state for each individual ecosystem and the planetary ecosystem. Viewer, come on up. Don't be afraid. I don't bite. And besides, I'm on the other end of the screen. I can't bite. It's that simple. The mechanism. The optimal launch protocol is through my fellow Maslow's perch occupants. I'll bet you, the viewer, you are sitting on Maslow's perch. Let me explain what Maslow's perch is. Have you ever heard of Maslow's hierarchy? Maslow's hierarchy of needs. On the bottom, like the North Koreans, right? Second viewer, why cisgender Caucasian males are the solution to the world's problems. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the pyramid on the lower level is like the North Koreans, right? They don't have safety. Kim Jong-un, he's a madman. right? He's insane. And as you go up the pyramid, right? So I'm sitting on the very top of the pyramid. I'm safe. My belly's full. The fridge is full. So I'm sitting on Maslow's perch. That's what I'm calling Maslow's perch. I got to make a diagram for that. 2 viewers, come up, join the stream. Let's have a conversation, especially if you identify with me. And if you don't identify with me, even better. It doesn't matter. Come, join. We'll have a conversation. Where did I leave off? Sitting Maslow's perch occupants. So in other words, all people that look like me and identify me are pretty much sitting on Maslow's perch with me. I think I can back that up with evidence. American cisgender Caucasian males, since they identify most with my appearance and their perceived experience of my life, right? Experience of life. We have the same quote unquote experience of life. And my claimed most accurate explanation of the human condition. I think I have the most, the closest, the most understood. I have the greatest understanding of the human condition, I think, on the face of the planet. And I think I can back that up. That's what this paper is for. Slice experience. Oh, no more viewers. Ever suggested, which I claim will achieve actual physical and mental inner peace. There is a difference between actual peace or physical peace and actual physical peace and mental inner peace. For my fellow human beings of all races, creeds, genders, sexes, and inner voice self-stories. What is an inner voice self-story? You'll just keep watching. The toolset, evolutionary hardware, and precision language. My primary tools utilized are the human ecosystem's newest add-on, the prefrontal cortex, which facilitates consciousness and interdependent safety through metabolic resource governance, dopamine governance, emotional regulation, accurate definitions of words, and understanding of those words. Without precise meanings for words, science cannot be performed. Resolution, the hard problem of consciousness is resolved as a category error of scale. Once the recipe of consciousness, orange juice and gravity, is notarized. Metric negligence, the subjective conclusion of soft sciences, quote unquote, arrived at without now moment biometrics are officially notarized as metric negligence. In other words, if you're having a conversation with a fellow human being, you should probably figure out what their biometrics are. Because if you view the room as being safe and comfortable and their heartbeat is racing at 140 beats per minute, there's a problem. Neither one of you is safe because that fellow human being is not in reality, and you're not in reality because you're not aware that that fellow human being's heart rate is going off the wall. If people are doing psychotherapy or therapy or talk therapy and they don't know what the biometrics of their patient is, that's metric negligence. That's a crime against humanity. Critical audit of contemporary research. The failure of sentience, memory, emotional sympathy, and dream research. Penrose and Hammeroff failed to recognize they are working on sentience due to there shouldn't be a double space there, due to not actually defining what they are looking for. Scientific tunnel vision, quote unquote, and groupthink, scare quotes. Penrose and Hammeroff, they don't have a clue what they're looking for. They're trying to explain sentience. They're not looking for consciousness. They don't have a clue what consciousness is. Dr. Lisa Feldman Barrett, her research is accurate, but her conclusion regarding emotional granularity is not. Having 50 words to describe, quote unquote, sad does not increase interdependent safety. It increases simulation, SIS noise. Inuits have 50 words for snow because they all correlate one-to-one with reality and increase survival for safety. Inuits have 50 words for snow because their words, yes, I spelled there wrong. Because their words for snow all correlate one-to-one with the reality and increase survival and safety. Emotions versus reality. Emotions are human stories, often inaccurate, interpreting an ecosystem's chemical composition, chemical signature, and organ structures. Without now-moment biometrics, which I mentioned before, emotional interpretation is merely a lagging metadata error. The failure of memory research. Contemporary science has failed to define what a memory is, where it is, or its metabolic purpose. Bullet point 1, the 1.0 gene notarization. A memory is a now-moment entropically gated metabolic ionic work function event. It is not a quote-unquote file stored in a drawer. It is the now moment expression of the ecosystem's chemical composition and signature and organ structures. Its purpose is not quote unquote history, but a high efficiency survival tool for events that have not yet occurred. The failure of empathy, quote unquote, as a term. Using empathy, quote unquote, to explain prefrontal cortex mediated processes is a category error. If the prefrontal cortex is regulating emotions, then empathy and emotions already exist. Bullet point. The accurate term, sympathy. Hello, viewer. Why cisgender Caucasian males are the solution to the world's problems. I think I can back it up. I think all the evidence is in this paper that I'm showing you here. I'm reading through the paper. The link's on the screen. Okay, don't stop. Your choice. The accurate term, sympathy, is the 1.0G standard. It describes prefrontal cortex governed emotional intelligence, a calibrated metabolic resource allocation that provides a phase lock anchor for another node's sentience. Sentience being that equation is for consciousness. That provides a phase lock anchor for another node's sentience. The accurate term, sympathy, is the 1.0G standard. It describes the prefrontal cortex. It describes prefrontal cortex governed emotional intelligence, a calibrated metabolic resource allocation that provides a phase locked anchor for another node's sentience. But that's called consciousness. Sentience. Control C. Sentience. Control V. Yahtzee. Sympathy increases the signal to noise ratio, SNR, of the tribe, whereas empathy merely mirrors the noise. The failure of memory research. Researchers have failed to define what a memory is, its purpose, or its location. Definition of memory is the now moment expression of an ecosystem's chemical composition. I changed that. Definition is a memory is a now moment. It's up here. Control C. Control V. Delete, space. A memory is a now moment. Entropically gated metabolic ionic work function. A memory is a learning tool. A dream is informational autophagy / consolidation. The same players, different chemical arrangement. I got to change that. Memory is the same thing, comma. The doggies are playing. The doggies are playing. A dream is the same thing, a now moment, entropically gated metabolic ionic work function event. That one. Informational autophagy consolidation. The same players, different chemical arrangement. Different environment. Different environment. Different chemical signature. Purpose. tool for learning and survival in now moment events that have not happened yet. Now moments and now moment events. That have not happened yet. The failure of empathy as a term. Existence logic failure. Using empathy, quote unquote, to explain prefrontal cortex processes is incorrect. If the prefrontal cortex is regulating emotions, then empathy and emotions already exist. I think that was stated before. The accurate term, sympathy, describes the feelings. That's double. Well, I'll have to go through that. I don't care. The universal diagnostic for life. We are not searching for quote unquote aliens, but for 1.0 G gravitational catch basin / wells. I like spaces between my slashes and letters that provide the space-time curvature required to trigger the 40 hertz life constant. Wrong bracket. And the dogs are going crazy. The terminal verdict. Life is not a mystery or a gift. It is a vertical hydraulic transaction. Bullet point. The 20-watt circuit. Humans are an integrated circuit powered by the constant acceleration of 9.81 meters per second. To stand, breathe, or think is to perform continuous work, quote unquote, against the gravitational anvil. The now moment injunction. The awareness of self, life, A, occurs exclusively in the only coordinate that possesses mass and energy, the now moment, T = 0. The falsification of the block. We officially notarized that the B theory of time block universe is a thermodynamic impossibility. The universe possesses neither the energy density nor the nuclear budget to fund the quote unquote actual existence of past or future coordinates, T not equaling 0. The life ratio. There is no quote unquote Goldilocks zone based on arbitrary temperature. There is only the life ratio and the gravitational constant. The standard for discovery. Extraterrestrial life will be identified not by quote unquote water alone, but by 9.81 meters per second squared gravitational wells regulated by an orbiting thither satellite lunar metronome to facilitate stochastic resonance. Definitions. Well, it's 7 o'clock. I'm stopping there. This is what I'm going to do, I guess, and hope that I can get people to help me audit this, get white cisgender males to figure out that they are actually the problem and they lack self-respect. Because if they had self-respect, the world would not be in this. The human race would not be in the condition it is in. But yep. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.